smart shoppers. These humans are smart shoppers. Every single one of these potential members who are going to college, who have been in college for a couple of years, who are interested in this organization, who maybe don't even know they're interested in this organization yet, are smart shoppers. They know that an experience like this is something that they have to go out and find. They know that it costs some money. They know that it takes a significant amount of time. And they're not going to flippantly participate. They are interested. If they are seeking you out, if they're signing up for your events, they are interested in what you're selling. Because nobody these days has time to participate in a process that they're not interested in. Nobody has the attention span to do that. Your age group of humans has never had to listen to a commercial or an advertisement that you don't want to listen to. You have been able to fast forward through commercials and hit the skip ad button on a YouTube video your entire lives. And all of the advertisements that you really do see in your lives are because your phones are listening to you talk about that kind of lip gloss you want to buy. And then Instagram shows it to you 20 minutes later, and then you're done. And you can order it and it's delivered to your house and it's all handled because you're smart shoppers. Like, it's so different than it used to be. So what that means for you is that they know that they are making an investment. They want to know what that investment is. They want to know how much it's going to cost and how much time it's going to take. And when it comes to this, when we start recruiting members and having these conversations, we tend to, I'm going to say sugarcoat is the nice way to say this. We tend to sugarcoat the way that we describe our membership because we're afraid to tell them how much time it actually takes because we don't want to scare them away. But the truth is that if we extend bids and people accept them and then they start our process and they learn that it's a way larger time commitment or a way larger financial commitment or way more stress than they wanted to take on, they're going to drop. They will not continue this experience. And so with as much authenticity as possible, they want to know what they're getting. But more important than that, they want to know why it's worth their time and money. They wouldn't be coming to you. They wouldn't be interested if they didn't have some of the availability of the time and money. There are some people who need some financial assistance, and I believe that our organization can help and provide that, and that's amazing. But generally speaking, they want to know why it's worth it. And that is the part that I think we can all get better at when it comes to recruitment. I think we've come a long way. I think we've gotten much better at explaining what our expectations of membership are, but I don't know if we're doing a great job of explaining why it's worth it. What have you gotten out of it? What have your members gained from being here? What do you have now that you wouldn't have if you didn't join this organization? I want you to think about those Instagram ads that you see all of the time in your life, or the TikTok ads. Everything that TikTok or Instagram has made me buy is because somebody gets on there and is like, I've had such a hard time doing my hair until I found this one magical straightener with 18 holes on the side that breathes while it does my hair. And look, it's so easy. It makes it like, her telling her story makes me be like, oh my God, I'm this girl. I have to buy this thing. I need it right now because she just made me understand why I need it because she told me why she needed it. The more you can help her understand why it is worth her time and money, the more likely it is that she will continue to shop for your experience. They are smart shoppers. That's number one. Number two, this generation, this age group, these humans are business starters. 74% of women in your age group want to be their own boss someday. How badass is that? That is so cool. I am my own boss, and never one time in my life was I like, man, I can't wait to be my own boss. Like, I didn't even think about it. Not y'all. Y'all are like, fine, I'll have a boss for a couple of years, but then I'm going to own this company and run this shit because it's my life and I'm going to be in charge. Like, it is so cool. How many women in this age group are interested in creating something for themselves in the world? Why is that relevant to you? Because they want to find a place where they can charter their own path. They want to find a place where they don't, like, nobody is going to be a sheep where they just come in and wear the same matching t-shirt and do what you tell them to do. Because these women have more entrepreneurial spirit and drive and motivation to create something that doesn't yet exist. I also keep saying women. I know that you accept humans of all gender varieties and all gender identities. So I just want to honor that. And I'm going to keep saying women because I know that's your predominant membership, but all of the humans that are interested, we want to welcome they all belong here. If they are excited to create something new, then how in the recruitment process can we show them that OPA is a place where they can do that? Most of the people that will come participate in your recruitment experience have done some sort of service in their life, right? Most of them felt connected to the community service they did in high school or at their previous institution, and it was a passion project for them. Can they bring that passion with them into your organization? If their primary force of community service was reading to small children, is there a way that you can help them create that program in your organization or partner with the elementary school across the street from campus? Probably. But we need to show her that that happens here. We know that you're not a Panhellenic sorority, but the truth is that Greek letters are a different language, actually, physically, a whole other language. And nobody can tell the difference between your letters and my letters. So when they see a group of primarily women wearing letters with Greek letters on their t-shirts, they just assume that your sorority is the same as mine, that you are a Panhellenic social sorority, right? Those assumptions get made very quickly, but you know that you're not. Most of these humans don't know that yet. Most of you didn't go to college looking for OPA because you didn't know it was a thing yet. We need to teach them that we are different and that they can align their passions into action in our organization. They're business starters. They want to do cool stuff. Let's show them that they can do that cool stuff with us. Yeah, that's number 2. Number 3, they are world changers. Let me say this as not delicately as possible. Y'all are pissed, and I'm here for it. This age group of humans is more globally connected to the world than any other generation before you. We live hundreds of thousands of miles away from what's happening in Ukraine, and we watched it happen in real time from our phones. You know what's going on in the world and the communities around you. And what's more important, you care. You care. Most of the people that are interested in joining an organization like yours give a shit about what's going on in the world and want to do something about it. They don't want to just read these news stories and just feel sad. They want to turn that action, that angst, that frustration with the world around us into making the world a better place. Organizations, nonprofit, charities, social activist organizations have been created specifically by sorority women, sorority members around your age group because they are so tired of living in a world where action isn't happening. They want to do something about it. And the reality is that Panhellenic, NPHC, and MGC organizations are much slower to change than an organization like yours has the potential to be. There's just a lot of space and room for them to take all of those feelings about what's happening in the world around us and put them into really powerful, positive action. They want to change the world. And y'all can change the world. You do, starting right there locally in your communities. And if we can help them see that starting right here locally in our community is a really powerful way to channel all of our feelings into really positive outcomes, I think we can bring people in who care about the same things that we care about. I know that we can. They're smart shoppers, they're business starters, and they're world changers. And I think us knowing that information is really helpful when it comes to recruiting them. Yeah. So I just threw a lot of information at you. Here is my question. How is that relevant to you when you think about recruiting for OPA? Which one of those 3, or is it all 3? But how does that information help you or aid you as you think about recruiting? And you can type it or unmute yourself and share it out
loud. The one that made the biggest impact on me was the last one about the PNMs are world changers, because I've always had a heart for social justice, and I've never, until the past about 5 years, in my experience, opinion, whatever, feel like I've seen people my age care about that. And hearing it from somebody, I'm not calling you old, hearing it from somebody who is not of my generation makes me feel, not makes me feel better, but like it empowers me to like to show more of how they can change the world if they join our organization. And also the where you said if they're wanting to start something new, show them how we can do that in OPA kind of thing.
Dope. What else? How else is this relevant to y'all?
Something that I've been thinking about, especially what Emily just said with the last one, the World Changers, is it's making me think about our President's Project this year and fighting for human rights. And it's just so absolutely what OPA stands for. And I think it just naturally is such, it's going to be a natural attraction for people who are different, who have been through hardship. And it's just, there's a lot of different thoughts going through my mind about if that's what we advertise, if that's what we start the conversation with, that we're just advocates for people in general, I think it's really going to encourage PNNs to want to be a part of such an open organization.
Especially advocates that act, right? Because y'all don't just sit around and talk about how we should be better advocates. Like you go out and do things. And I think that's the biggest gap. I think we all have a lot of feelings and a lot that we want to do to make the world a better place, but I don't always know the path to be able to turn my emotions into activism. But if somebody can illuminate that path for me and say, here it is, it's right here. It's actually called Omega Phi Alpha. Here's your path. Not only will we light the path for you, we'll give you a matching t-shirt and we'll all walk the path with you to do that thing that will make the world a better place because that's who we are. That's pretty badass. I just got goosebumps. That's pretty badass. So that's dope. I love that. Anybody else? How is this relevant or helpful to you?
I think for me, like specifically like the smart shopper of just like telling people like why it's worth joining and just like stressing that like we're not like the other sororities. Like we are community service based and I feel like we're more so just like an easygoing. It's like more of like a friendship that do community service together than like sticking to like the strict rules and dress code. Well, we do have some dress codes, but like nothing insane or anything. But yeah, just like stressing like why it's actually going to be worth joining and what it can do for you.
Yes, that's so cool. But you are different. You are different. And I think it's your superpower. I work with Panhellenic communities a lot, and it's really hard to be the one chapter of Panhellenic that tries to be different from the rest of the Panhellenic chapters, because then you get a different reputation because people talk about you differently. And it's that system itself has a lot of parts of it that are broken that make that environment not sustainable. But even if you are an associate member of Panhellenic, they know that you're different. And if you're not an associate member of Panhellenic, they know that you're different. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's your superpower because in so many ways you overlap with what social sororities do and you do something so different. You have so many elements that people are attracted to the social sorority experience and so many things that the social sorority experience cannot provide. I think it's a really unique, really special opportunity to find people that want what they think the social sorority provides with some of the other magic that you have. The number one thing potential members who are interested in going through any kind of growth or recruitment process are looking for, the number one thing is sisterhood and belonging. Yes, some of them are interested in the social scenes and the status and the parties, and some of them are interested in some of the philanthropy and service causes, and some of them are interested in the leadership opportunities, but more often than not, they want sisterhood. They want a place to belong. And if you have the potential to provide them that while also helping them make the world a better place, charting a new path for themselves, and understanding why they should feel connected to you as a group of humans, it's magic. I promise you, you are the organization on your campus that Lizzo would join. Period. I'm not wrong about that. She would look at all of the other sorority options and be like, hang on. So here, I can have sisterhood and badassery and also make the world a better place, yeah, I'm in. This is what this is where I want to be. And if you don't have a theme yet for your recruitment, I am giving it to you. Take it. The new album is so fire. It's totally worth your time. Just make Lizzo your recruitment theme, because I swear she'd want to join you. And if we can have the PNM see that we provide something different and something magic, then I think we can't go wrong.
Know that Tina is being very honest about this, because her and I had a conversation back in 2020, and she said the same thing to me about how being different is our superpower and that Lizzo would join OPA. So I just wanted to let you know that
that's so real.
Something she says to everyone. She truly means it. And we had this conversation before, and I have it written down. So I just want to let you know that she's super serious about it.
I'm not joking. I'm so glad that you said that, Jenna. I'm not joking. I mean it. I'm 100%. I'm 100% confident about that. I really do believe that. And if it's not Lizzo, fill in the blank. But I think badass humans who want to make the world a better place with other badass humans is who you're looking for. And that also, I also want to relieve some of the pressure. That means that you're not looking for everybody, right? It means you're looking for people who want to do what you want to do. And that means you don't have to have the largest incoming class ever, because I would so much rather you find the people that want to live in that space with you than who are looking for something else that you don't provide. It is your superpower. It is your magic. And I want you to be able to use that motivation and all that information is shared with you to your benefit. So now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the 3 different ways we can put the PNM at the center of what we're doing. Okay. If we know now who she is and what she's looking for, or who they are and what they're looking for, how can we put them at the center of what we do? And there are 3 really tangible ways that we can focus on that. Okay. The first one is the conversations, the way that we talk to these humans, the way that we share with them. Mostly while I'm talking, I mean at your recruitment events, but I also think everything I'm about to share with you applies to while you're trying to get them to come to your recruitment events. Yeah. So I think this is relevant for both. We want to make PNMs feel like here in this organization, they will matter. That's what they're looking for, right? They're looking for a place to belong. They're looking for a place to matter. And we want to make them feel like they matter here. And the simplest way to do that is to have a conversation that makes them feel in that moment like they matter. I bet if I asked you to right now to tell me about the reason you joined OPA, I'm willing to bet most of my money that it was a person or a couple of people. That it was a human that you met that had a conversation with you that made you feel like you mattered. And that human or that conversation is the reason that you started to connect all the dots and feel like OPA could be your place. That is exactly how we want all the PNMs to feel. And I would love to just be able to tell you, like, we just have to have better conversations. But real talk, it's harder than that. I think it's especially harder than that in a post-COVID world. Because I don't know about y'all, but my social skills took a dive for those 2 years when I stayed in my house and didn't talk to anybody else but my family. And turns out not everybody in the real world has the same inside jokes that my husband and I do. And it's weird when I try to make them and they don't get them. And then they think I'm super, like, it's just like, I had to like relearn how to network and be in a social function and talk to people again. And I think a lot of us have needed to do that. I think we needed a little bit of a reset, because saying just have better conversations doesn't always feel great. I think especially in the early parts of recruitment, when you're trying to get people to come to your events, or those first couple moments, I think some of you put questions in here about like, how do we talk to them without overwhelming them or without scaring them away? Because we want them to stay. We're so excited and we don't want to push them away. In the very beginning, when we're getting to know her, when we're trying to invite her to these events, when we want to spend the time with these humans, we want to make it about them, not ourselves. They don't care about you yet. They will, but they don't care about you yet. They don't care about you as a human yet, and they don't care about OPA yet. Because the way that they're going to start to care about you and OPA is that you make them feel cared about. So the first couple times you talk to this human, it's not about OPA. Like, I don't even want you to bring it up. I don't even want you to talk about it. It's not about recruitment events. It's just about that human. How are you? How's the semester going? Is it feel really stressful? I'm also getting my ass kicked in that class. I know, right? This is crazy. Like, just connect as humans and make her feel like you care about her. And there are two very specific conversation strategies that will help you be better at that. I am giving these to you so that you can give them to your members, okay? Normally, if I was facilitating this for you, what we would do is I would teach you these conversation tricks and then put you in a conversation to practice. And that is what I advise you to do with your membership. Teach them these two tricks and then put them in a conversation with another partner and have them practice doing them, because it just locks into our brain a little bit more effectively when we do it that way, okay? Two things. Number one is called Ask the Second Question. It's actually something my husband created that I have since stolen because it is so smart. In most of our conversations, especially those at the beginning of the school year when we're meeting new people, we are very, very good at asking the next question. Where are you from? Minneapolis, Minnesota. Oh, cool. So where do you live on campus? We asked one question, she answered it, and then we asked the next question, the next thing that we want to know about that person. But that person just told you something about themselves that you just completely skipped over. And instead of asking the next question, if you asked the second question, the question following up to her answer, it could be such a better conversation. For instance, you say, so what's your major? And they say, well, I picked accounting because my mom's an accountant, but I don't actually know if I'll like it. If we're asking the next question, we would go, cool, cool. So where do you live on campus? And that conversation sucks. But if we do it and we ask the second question, it sounds like this. You say, so what's your major? And they say, yeah, I picked accounting because my mom's an accountant, but I don't actually know if I'll like it. We'll see. You ask, what is it about accounting that you're excited about? Have you ever been to work with your mom? If you could pick any other major on earth, what would you choose? You ask the second question about the same topic. It shows that human that you are listening, that you care about the answers to the questions you're asking, and that you are actively getting to know them as you're showing up. It makes the conversation feel so much less boring and so much more connected because you're showing them that you care. Don't ask the next question, ask the second question. Often you only have to do it once or twice because the conversation starts to flow from there and stops feeling so like ping pong back and forth. It feels like we're actually connecting because we got off the surface and went a little deeper. It just makes somebody feel like you care about them, which is the goal. Yeah. So ask the second question is number one. The second one is share first. And this is going to feel a little counterintuitive, so stick with me. I told you it is about the PNM. However, when you went through any of the recruitment processes you've experienced in your life, do you ever at any point remember feeling like you were being interviewed? Being asked question after question after question after question, like just like a bunch of questions about you. And that can make somebody feel really uncomfortable. Especially in a non-selective process like yours, like we don't want to ask a million questions and make them feel like they're being interviewed all of the time. We want it to feel like a conversation. And so in an attempt to make the potential members feel more comfortable around us, instead of being the only ones asking questions, we also need to do a little bit of this sharing. And the way to do that still makes the conversation about the potential member is to share first as you ask a question. Here's what I mean. You could say, so what's your major? But maybe she's been asked that question a million times and she's terrified to answer it because she doesn't know what her major is. And she feels like if she doesn't know what her major is, then she's behind in school already and she hasn't even really started and it makes her feel insecure and like she's not. It's like maybe that question is not fun, right? You don't know that. You couldn't possibly know that. But if you ask it the right way, it could still feel better. You said, you know, I picked some random major when I got here because I just thought like, I guess psychology, I don't know. But in like a year, I'd already switched to mechanical engineering. It was kind of a crazy journey. What about you? What's your major? One little nugget about you makes her feel immediately more comfortable because instead of interviewing her and asking a question that may or may not have a right answer, you've just shared a little bit about yourself. You were a little bit vulnerable in a way that makes her feel like she can be vulnerable back. I was so sure I wanted to be an engineering major. Like I wanted to be the only girl in the class full of boys. Like I was sure that's what I wanted to do. And now I'm a social studies education major because turns out I just want to hang out with elementary school kids. What about you? Have you picked a major yet? a little bit that just makes her feel like, oh my gosh, this is a real person who wants to tell me about themselves and make me feel comfortable instead of make me feel like I'm on the spot. It alleviates so much pressure for the potential member to answer the question the right way, because you've just sort of given them an example of how you want them to answer the question. You're not just looking for one word, you're looking for real information. Have you picked a major yet? That's a great point, Emily. It's just another cool way to ask the question. But also, like, what have you been involved in? Is there something you really wanted to try when you thought about coming to campus? What's your living situation like? Are you enjoying it? That's another cool way to ask the question in case that student is a commuter, because a lot of times we go straight to residence halls, but maybe that person doesn't live on campus and we don't want to make them feel self-conscious about that, right? So like, it's really about curiosity that you're willing to offer back to them. What is something you wanted to get involved in? I was sure that I was going to do intramurals. Like I was like coming here ready to like be on the intramural soccer team. And then turns out I joined this other organization that does nothing to do with physical activity. What about you? What are you getting involved in? One little thing. Don't talk for 30 minutes. This is, remember, because it's not about you. It's about the PNM. But by sharing one little nugget about you, you are giving them permission to do the same thing. Ask the second question or share first. But doing one of those things, you don't need to do both at the same time, but doing one of those things immediately shifts the culture of the conversation and makes it better, specifically for the PNM. We want her to feel cared about. And the easiest way to do that is to care about her. And doing either one of those tricks really just gives us permission to care about her. Take some of the pressure off because we're focusing on asking the second question instead of having a better conversation. Yeah? So before we move on from conversations, what questions, do you have any other questions about the way that we talk to potential members, specifically to get to know them? Do you have any questions about conversations and how to put the PNM at the center of them?
Maybe. Oh, go ahead. Somebody else
I'm
talking.
sorry.
No, go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So in the setting of like, let's say an organization fair where you're like tabling and people are just kind of going by and not really spending a lot of time with you, how are you able to like have conversations that are like a little bit rushed but like still meaningful?
That's such a good question. This is going to sound cheesy, but I was just at a conference where somebody confirmed this to be true to me, and I have been taking it to the bank ever since. Compliments are really powerful. I don't want you going out here giving fake compliments just to get people to come talk to you at your table, because that is not what we're doing out. But immediately complimenting someone for, I like your shirt, or I've been looking for those sandals, they look so great on you, or I think your hair is cool, where'd you get your earring? You know what I mean? Like something like that that is easy and quick, but helps them feel warmth from you immediately is really helpful. Again, don't be those people that are just like aggressively shouting compliments at strangers that you don't even mean. But if they're like slowing down in front of your table and you do notice the shirt and you do think the shirt is cute, being like, I love your shirt. And then let that person say thank you and probably tell you that they got it at Target. And then you can say, I'm Emily, by the way, where are you from? And then just start moving exactly like that. It just immediately lowers somebody's defenses, because in the first 3 seconds of an interaction, their defenses either go up or don't. And the fastest way to keep those defenses from going all the way up is to make them feel comfortable and warm right away. A very simple compliment can change a lot. They may just say thank you and keep walking. Okay, worst case scenario, you were just somebody who said something nice about her. That's it. Best case scenario, it means a lot to her and it makes her feel great about herself. I'm a big fan of you got a pretty smile, because most of you do. It's like an honest compliment. Like, you really do have a pretty smile, and I want to talk to you. So let's hang out. So I hope that helps. I think it sort of makes it feel a little less stressful. Like I said, if she keeps moving, she keeps moving, but it's a really cool way to grab somebody's attention with kindness right away up front. Good question, Abby. Jenna, I love that. Yes, they're definitely insecure and nervous. The only downside to the "are you interested in service" question is if I say no. Are you interested in service? No. Okay, have a great day. But then they're not your people. And then they got to keep walking anyway. So that's great. I think also, like, have you ever done community service is a really cool question. Are you looking for any places to volunteer, right? I don't know. If I were y'all, I'd partner with the local humane society, just put pictures of puppies on your table and be like, anybody love puppies? Anybody? You should probably come hang out with us because we got puppies. But, you know, there's lots of tactics. What other questions can I answer for you about conversations?
This is more logistical of conversations. My chapter is basically all upperclassmen -1. How would you recommend, like, obviously I'm gonna talk to them about this breakout and all the things. Do you think it would be acceptable / okay to give them, like, hey, here are different ways that you can phrase certain questions, like, what's your major versus have you picked a major yet, kind of thing.
Sure.
I know a lot of them could possibly hypothetically be set in their ways, and I don't want to be that person who's like, yeah, I'm the new recruitment chair and membership director, and we're going to turn this place upside down. But I don't know. That's
a good question. It is. It's a good question. I think if you phrase it from a presentation standpoint of, especially if we are looking for some younger membership, then we don't want to make them uncomfortable. We don't want to make them feel insecure, and they already are feeling insecure. So how can we phrase our questions to make them feel as comfortable as possible? I think that also, if you, Emily, can put that in connection with the remember who you were as a PNM and then give them that advice, then I think they might be a little bit more comfortable, because you can be like, well, you didn't want anyone asking you about your major before you had decided, right? So why don't we ask that question in a more kind way? But that's my other favorite thing about these two little activities I've just given you, is that they are helpful for everything you're doing in your life. Ever since I started asking the second question, my networking has exponentially increased in success because I have a less than typical conversation with somebody. They remember me, they follow up with me because I did something that nobody else in the room did. So that is the other way, especially if all of you are trying to get upper class humans involved in your growth process, help them understand why it's still relevant for them. And it's still relevant for them because recruitment is networking, period. And the better you are at talking to people you didn't know yesterday, the more successful you're going to be in the workplace. Like, that's just real. And so if you can make it relevant for them in the sense that, like, I'm going to teach you these couple things, and sure, they're going to help you be better at recruiting, but they're also going to be helping you at that networking event you have to go to in 2 weeks where you're looking for an internship. It just makes it all feel a little bit more relevant. And I think that'll be helpful. Good question, Emily.
And Emily,
that's fine. Go ahead, Jenna.
I just wanted to, like, piggyback a little bit. I could tell Emily was a little bit like, she doesn't want to feel like she's teaching them something new when they've recruited before. So I think a good way to phrase it is, like, it's all about the approach. Like, oh my God, I went to this amazing presentation with this woman, Tina. She was phenomenal. She taught me this one thing, and I think the approach was great. I never thought about it before. Instead of saying, what's your major, say it like this way. That, you know, like, so I think if you put it that way, it kind of is not being like, oh, I'm
doing this wrong.
Better ideas than it's like, oh, I heard this really interesting new way of thinking about something. I thought it was great. Because then I'm sure other people will be like, oh yeah, that is a good idea. As opposed to like,
that's cool.
She knows everything.
Okay, so that's conversations. That's the first way that we try to make the PNM the center of what we're doing. The second one is with our recruitment behaviors, which is a big bucket, because what I mean by recruitment behaviors is everything you do outside of talking. I'm talking about the themes that you choose for your recruitment events. I'm talking about what you do at the recruitment events. I'm talking about the service projects you do at the recruitment events. Everything that you do outside of conversation, I'm just calling a recruitment behavior, okay? And we need to put the PNM at the center of how we structure and build our recruitment. This one is one of the hardest ones to shift, because the truth is that a lot of times we create our recruitment themes and our recruitment events based on things that we like and feel connected to, right? Like, we pick that song or that theme because it brings us and our members joy. And that's great. I want you and your membership to have joy. And we need to make sure that it's comfortable for a potential member. The best piece of advice I can give you when you talk about your overall recruitment strategy is to walk through every piece of it, every event, and look at it from the perspective of somebody who has never in their life thought about joining a sorority. Story time. I never in my life thought about joining a sorority. And then I went through some recruitment process, and it was Panhellenic formal recruitment, God bless it. And I vividly remember, some of you have had this experience, so you know what I'm talking about, but I vividly remember going to prep night, which is like the emotional culmination of sorority Panhellenic recruitment. And I remember sitting on the floor in this chapter, and everybody's wearing black dresses, and there's candles, and it's like, feels like church, kind of. And then they all start singing, and they're singing a song. They're singing The River by Garth Brooks in 4-part harmony. It was beautiful. And it was very clearly emotional and meaningful for the chapter because everybody was crying. And I just remember sitting on the floor going, why Garth Brooks? And it's the only thing I could think about because nobody explained it to me. They just did it because it's what meant a lot to them. And there's a lot of things like that in Panhellenic recruitment. And just by virtue of the way that you all recruit, you do way less of that ritual darkness stuff that's just a little from the outside. But the point is that there's a lot of stuff that we do because it makes sense to us that doesn't make any damn sense to the PNMs because they don't get it yet. They don't get it yet. They don't get why you've chosen those colors or that banner or why this is the place that you want to do service or this is what Meet the Sisters night looks like. Because most of them have most of the people that are joining you have never thought critically about joining a sorority before. And so how can we make sure that our recruitment behaviors make her feel comfortable, not on the outside? How do we put her at the center of what we're doing? Let me ask that question in a different way. Everything you do in recruitment is teaching her who you are. What does that theme teach her about who you are? What does that t-shirt teach her about who you are? What does that service project teach her about who you are? No part of it is an accident. No part of it is she is actively learning who you are because you're showing her. And so if we ask ourselves that question, what does this theme say about who we are in the world? Maybe it's like an inside joke to all of your chapter and you love it. But that means she's on the outside and we want to invite her to the inside. And so how do we make sure that from wherever she's sitting, she's learning about who we are in a way that makes her feel invited to the party instead of on the outside? So we're going to use the chat and do a quick activity, okay? I'm going you to give me 3 words in the chat to describe your chapter. 3 adjectives in the chat to describe your chapter.
Doesn't matter what kind of adjectives, positive or negative. Okay.
That's a good question. Doesn't matter. Three words or sentences, if you'd like. Caring, fun, creative. I love that. Close-knit, fun-loving, easygoing. Okay, Abby, come on with the hyphens. This is SAT level work over here. These are all single words. Creativity, I love it. What else? Competitive, goofy, loving. I love that. Affirming, servant hearts, and goofy. Dope. Okay, and I don't know if Caitlin is still with us. Oh, great. Hardworking, diverse, fun. So great. Okay, I love this. So here's why I have you do that. A, all of you should be able to do that. All of your members should be able to do that pretty quickly Because when the P&M starts to ask questions about OPA, she wants to know, who are you? And tell me about this group of women. And you could tell her obviously about the values of the organization and the service that you do, but being able to describe who you are as a group of sisters is way more valuable to her. Yeah. So I also love that all of yours are a little bit different, which is pretty cool. Especially because you have a lot of similarities in the values department, but obviously as a culture still are a little different, which is really fun. Okay, second question, and I'm going to tie this all together, I promise. Talk to me about the values of your chapter. I know that you have national organizational values, and if you think that those really do reflect your chapter values, great, just tell me those. But if there's something else that your chapter really values, if there's a cause that you really care about or part of your university, you know what I mean? Like, give me 2 or 3 values of your chapter. Carson, I want to join the shit out of that group of humans. Like, that's it. I'm in. Yes. Yeah, this is so cool. Inclusion, service, meaningful service, supporting each other, activism. This is dope. Okay, this is amazing. I also think you could do this activity with your chapter to create almost like a word bank of adjectives you would use to describe this group of women and values that we care a lot about. Because again, you can take stuff off the website, but what you as a smaller group of humans believe is so much more powerful to me than what I can read on the website. Yeah. Here's why I have you do this. Every one of the behaviors that you do during recruitment should come back to these words that you have typed in the last 2 questions. Everything you do in recruitment is showing her who you are. So everything that you do, down to the service project you choose to do, should come back to the things that you value most and the way that you would describe this group of women. Don't just tell me who you are, prove it. And prove it by creating those spaces. If we care fiercely about diversity, pride, and human rights, then let's get creative as a chapter about how we can include diversity, pride, and human rights into the way that we plan our recruitment experience. You will have a lot of freedom, creative freedom to do cool stuff in the way that you recruit. And sometimes we just get trapped in doing some of the same stuff because there's so much to plan, which is fine, as long as the same stuff you're doing is teaching her who you are. Because who you are is worth teaching her about. Yeah? Any questions about recruitment behaviors? Okay. I do just want to add this, that if you do have any like traditions that you do during the recruitment process that feel really important to you as a chapter, I don't want you to feel like I'm telling you not to do them. I am telling you to explain it to them. Down to why you do a service project. Explain it to her. We do service because that's who we are. We do service all the time. That's our passion as a group of women, as a group of humans in the world. This is what we do. And we want to make sure that you know that right away up front. We partner with this organization for like teach her about it because she doesn't necessarily know. Yeah? Okay. Conversations, behaviors, stories. Stories is the last way to put the P&M at the center of what you're doing. Most of the conversations that you have with her up front are about her. They make her feel like you care about her. But toward the back end of your recruitment experience, the questions become about you. And she wants to know who you are. Not your brand, not your Instagram account, not OPA's national website. She wants to know who you are. And she doesn't want a sales pitch. She wants a story. The best possible way to invite her into your group of people is to make her feel like she's there. And the best way to do that is to tell her a story. is to teach her about it. Your stories are what differentiates you and your experience from the person next door. But your stories are also wildly personal to your organization. And I want to highlight that by going back to the very first question I asked you about you as a PNM. Those stories were not like, oh, I was just looking for a place to get involved and I sat at their table. Even if that was how you entered, that's not the story that you told me. The story that you told me was about how you were looking for your place to belong on campus and you found it in this group of humans. You told me a story that made me feel like I could see myself in it because I've been that person on a college campus who desperately wanted to find my people. Adjectives are important and events and recruitment behaviors are great, but stories are the proof in the pudding. I'm going to give you 3 questions and you can write these down and then take them, but I also want you to think about them as you're writing them down. Here's my first question. How do you know that your sisters love you? Sisters, siblings, how do you know that these humans in your organization love you? Question number 2. How do your sisters or siblings know that you love them? Last question. How do you support each other? How do you know your sisters love you? How do you know how do your siblings know that you love them? And what does supporting each other look like? Here's why this matters. We get asked questions like this, and maybe I don't think PNMs look at you and be like, how do your sisters know that you love them? That's not really a question that potential members are asking. But underneath, that's what they're asking. They want to know how you as a group of people care about each other, how you show up to each other, how sisterhood and siblinghood is a part of this organization. That's what they want to know. And we get really good at describing it. My sisters are like my home away from home. They're my best friends on campus. They're my support system. And we come up with those words that are really real and powerful, but doesn't prove anything. And I want you to prove it to her. For example, when I joined my organization, I was actually having a really hard time fitting in, like finding my people. And I think it's because I was really skeptical about the whole sorority experience. I just didn't think like it was for me. And so I was having a hard time buying in. And then it was my second semester and I was kind of still wondering if I should stay involved, but I had a night class for the first time. And I went to my night class, and then when it was over, was going to walk back to the chapter house to meet a few of my sisters. And as soon as I left the building for night class, the heavens opened up and it started downpouring. Like I have never been rained on like this in my entire life. Enough that I ran back in the building, trying to rearrange everything in my backpack so my laptop wouldn't get ruined, because I had like a 15 to 20 minute walk back to the chapter house. And I was like, how am I going to make this work? So I'm in the building, shuffling all my stuff around in my backpack, trying to make it fit. And then I'm like taking a deep breath, ready to like trudge through the rain back to my chapter house. And as soon as I walk out the door of the facility, this like 2002 beat up Toyota Corolla pulls up in front of me. And it's got like 4 or 5 more sisters than there are seatbelts in this car. My sisters are in this car. Every single one of them is holding a McFlurry from McDonald's. And they are blaring NSYNC's Bye, Bye, Bye. And like straight out of Mean Girls, when she's like, get in, loser, we're going shopping. They like kick the door open. They're like, get in. We didn't want you to walk home alone in the rain. And that was the moment that I felt like I had sisters. Because they thought about me. And I didn't know that they remembered that I had night class because it was my first time at night class. And I didn't know that they knew where the building was on campus. And I didn't know that when it started raining, someone would think about whether or not I had a ride or if I'd be walking home alone in the rain. I didn't know that they were going to think about me like that, but they did. And in that tiny little moment, I felt like I had a place to belong. I could have just told you that my sister showed up for me when I needed them and it made me feel like I had a support system, but that doesn't prove it to you. Your stories prove it to you. This is another activity I think you should do with your whole chapter, where you talk about like what story, tell a story about a time where your sisters loved you, where you loved your sisters, or you supported one another. And then have everybody share their stories out loud. It's tears almost every time because it's really emotional to think about how you all have helped each other and to share those stories out loud. And then when it's also a really great recruitment activity because these are the stories the PNM wants to hear. Because if you were a PNM right now and I just told you that story, your brain would be like, I want someone to pick me up in this rain. I want someone to bring me McFlurries and play and sing for me. I want that. And that's exactly what our stories do. It helps them see that what they're looking for in college, they can find here in this group of humans. Your stories teach the PNMs who you really are. I want you to have better conversations where the PNM is the focus. I want you to put the PNM at the center of the recruitment behaviors and strategies you create. And I want you to tell stories that make the PNM feel like she's a part of your organization. If we do those three things, and we do it with the PNM in mind, I don't think we can go wrong. I don't think we can go wrong. Because I think it does what recruitment is supposed to do, which invites these humans that are overwhelmed and insecure and excited and nervous and gives them a place to belong. That's what recruitment is. So the next time you're trying to motivate your chapter to give a crap about it, that's what you tell them. This isn't just about growing our membership because Nationals tells us we're supposed to. It's that our organization gives people a place to belong. And that's what we get to go do when we add members to it. The last thing that I want to tell you before we head back to the other room, I'm telling you this and you can tell your chapter this because I'm right. You are good enough. Period. As individual humans, as an organization on your campus, you are good enough. You don't have to change a damn thing about who you are for new members to find you or for your organization to be worthy of joining. You are good enough. You serve a genuine need in your campus community. You serve a genuine need for these humans that don't yet have a place. You are good enough to do this. And every human that finds their way to you will be wildly fortunate that they did. I really hope this was helpful. I hope that you got good stuff out of it. I'm really grateful that you spent your time with me. That is all I have for you. I'm going to give the whole group my contact information at the end. I'm doing the keynote right now. So after that, I will give my contact information so that you have it. So if you have some more specific questions or you need anything, you can reach out to me because I'm on your team and I fiercely believe in you. And I can't believe there was an OPA wearing to school because I would have joined the shit out of this organization. So go find the Tinas. They need you. Thank you for being here with me. I'm grateful.
Tina, thank you so much. This was amazing. And she's always so wonderful to talk to. And I'm telling you, if you do reach out, she will set up time to chat. So don't hesitate to reach out to her. She's a great resource for us. And I'm so glad that you're here to be a part of this weekend.
Thank you. Me too. Okay, we're going to go back to the big space. I think we have a break.
Thank you so much.